All right. So, hello. I'm Jared, and with me today, we have June, who is going to be presenting also. But basically, it's just going to be us two presenting tonight. So, our topic is Vincent Chin and Corky Lee, and so we'll basically be explaining about this as we go on. All right, so Vincent Chin. So Vincent Chin was born on May 18th, 1955 in the Guangdong province, which is in mainland China. And he was the adopted child of Bing Hing Chin and Lily Chin. And he was adopted by that couple in 1966. And his father was a soldier during World War II. So that's just some background on Vincent Chin's life. Now, Vincent Chin grew up in Highland Park, Michigan. And so this was basically throughout most of his childhood in the 1960s. Now, in 1971, Vincent's father was a victim of abuse when he was mugged, and this led to the family moving to another region within Michigan, which was Oak Park. And so basically this is just really around the Detroit area, as you might be able to see on the map. Vincent would also graduate from high school and go on to study at Control Data Institute and Lawrence Tech. Now, Vincent Chin was killed on a certain night, and we'll get into this. So basically the background behind this is that he was celebrating his bachelor party in Detroit when he became engaged in a fight with Ronald Evans. So Evans and his nephew, Michael Nitz, were auto workers, and they basically mistook Chin as Japanese, and they blamed him for their hardships. And so some of the context behind this is that the American auto industry faced a recession at the time, and Japanese auto companies were viewed as competition. And basically, as a result of this tension between them, Evans and Nitz chased Chin down and beat him to death with a baseball bat. All right, so now we'll get into the trial. So here, Evans and Nitz were charged with second-degree murder. Evans pled guilty and Nitz pled no contest to a reduced charge of manslaughter, and so this implied that there was no intent to kill Chin. During their sentencing hearing on March 16th, 1983, the two men, so Evans and Nitz, and their defense attorneys were the only ones that were standing before the judge. Sentencing hearings weren't considered essential in legal proceedings, and the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office didn't present the state's case. And so that case was basically in support of Chin. Another aspect that went into this trial was that no friends, family, or witnesses were informed or summoned. So there really wasn't anyone that could have represented Vincent Chin. As a result of this, the judge only heard from those two perpetrators and their lawyers, and basically the judge sentenced each of them to 3 years of probation, a $3,000 fine, and court costs, since he was lenient with first-time offenders. Now, you might look at this and say, well, this is outrageous because they killed a person and this is what happened. But that is simply what happened at the time. And the judge's explanation for this was simply that these weren't the kind of men you sent to jail. So, Jim Shimura, a Michigan lawyer who rose awareness about Chin's case, commented that it's almost as if an Asian life is not worth anything. So this was immediately after Vincent Chin's killing. And so basically this comment was made for the purpose of raising awareness about Chin's case. And so he also noted that if those roles were reversed, the perpetrator probably would not have walked free, since Vincent Chin was Asian, and he wouldn't have had the same privileges as Evans and Nitz had. And the local Asian community protested the judge's sentence of probation and created an organization called American Citizens for Justice. A separate examination found that police had not interviewed key witnesses during the trial, and this included a dancer who witnessed Evans explicitly blaming Chin for joblessness. And so while Evans didn't explicitly use a racial slur against Chin, the context behind this was what essentially made it racially motivated. However, the judge maintained his decision, and the organization took their argument to the federal government, and they claimed that Chin was targeted and killed as an Asian American. So the FBI began investigating this case in April 1983, and a federal grand jury indicted Evans and Nitz on 2 charges, and those were interfering with Chin's right to be in a place of public accommodation and conspiring to do so. So this trial is actually sort of a landmark trial because it was the first federal civil rights trial involving an Asian American in U.S. history. During the trial, the defense, or basically the lawyers representing Evans and Nitz, maintained that this was not a racially motivated hate crime, and the Detroit jury ruled otherwise. As a result, only Evans was found guilty of interfering with Chin's civil rights, and he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Evans' lawyers then appealed this conviction, and that appeals court reversed Evans' conviction due to legal errors that were made during the trial, and Evans was released on bond. So the Justice Department retried the case against Evans, but moved this trial to Cincinnati. And the second jury was mostly white, male, working class people, and this could be considered a bias. Again, they could have had some bias against Vincent Chin, and so they cleared Evans of all charges. Now, many people do believe that it was evident that the second jury did not understand that, the racism that Asian Americans in Detroit dealt with in the 1980s. So I guess the rationale behind this is that Evans hadn't explicitly used a racial slur, so his actions weren't seen by the second jury as racially motivated, even though there was a witness who was a dancer who remembered the context behind this tension. And so as a result of all this, many Asian Americans lost faith in the U.S. justice systems, although others were inspired to enter activism, law, or politics. And some effects that it's had on in today's world is that the case exposed some disagreement between manslaughter sentences in Michigan and helped set mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines. All right, so we have a bit of a video to, I guess, explain this event. So.
Now, after the video, has some discussion. So what were your reactions or feelings after watching this video?
So, it's really heartbreaking watching Vincent's mom in all of this, right? Every time she's talking, her voice is cracking. It's a very emotional thing. I think the director of this film did a good job in showing her pain. But it kind of ends with, the reality of it with, her begging for justice for herself.
So yeah, I agree with what you said in the chat, and I think this documentary also does a really good job in conveying the perspectives of other people, because it goes into a lot of interviews with other people as well. Okay, Corky Lee. Corky Lee was born on September 5th, 1947 in Queens, New York. He was the second child of Lee Yin-chuk and Jung-si Lee. His parents immigrated to America from China, and his father was a soldier during World War II. Lee taught himself photography and would become one of the most impactful photographers of all time. This is a short video about Corky Lee's photography. Okay. So, what were your initial reaction? What were your thoughts about this short video about Corky and his death? Yeah, I completely agree with this. And I agree that it is an important one because before doing this, starting this research on this presentation, I wasn't really, I didn't really know about him at all. And researching him, I learned how he has impacted so many people personally, and it shows in this video how much he has really impacted these people, as these people share their own stories about how he has impacted them. So overall, this presentation it just barely scratches the surface about Vincent Chin's legacy and Corky Lee's photography has done for Asian American in America, legally and socially, and they've had so much more impact than I could explain. And thank you for listening to this presentation.
If you can hear me, that was a great presentation. Great. Let me type it as I write it. Great presentation. Good work.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone. See you next week.
Have a good night.